270 nautical miles from Gaza. So we were intercepted in international waters. But at the time, because we saw, what looked like to be sort of 17-year-olds in balaclavas in broad daylight, it wasn't quite as scary initially. And they drove the boat like they stole it, literally. I think maybe it was a 35-minute journey that was really fast with guns in our faces. And then we arrived at the, monumental, monstrous prison ship that a lot of people have talked about. And then that was the threshold of it becoming, a very, very frightening, fearing for your life situation. They knew my name when they dragged me onto the deck. I was cable tied. My ankles were shackled. They put so much water under my face. I had no ability to move. And every time I tried to get away from the water to stop sort of gurgling and drowning, they'd slap me again, stand on the back of my legs. I thought that was my number was up, and I'd only been on that boat for about 20 minutes. I thought that I was going to drown. And that was the welcome to Israel, because that's exactly what they said when I got on the boat. Welcome to Israel. You're going to really enjoy this, is what they said. Other bodies would be thrown onto me. It was sort of like sardined, and you could feel other people kind of, in different, different levels of anguish, lots of screams, lots of thudding. Then I was dragged sort of along a corridor. They looked at my passport. They recognized that I'd been there before, and they told me that he had an American accent, and he said, "I want to kill someone today, and it potentially might be you." And then I was dragged towards what we sort of ended up calling a torture tunnel. It's a shipping container that kind of had an entrance to it where you could vaguely see the silhouette of 5 soldiers inside, and I was pushed inside that space. I was slapped and kicked. I was sexually assaulted. They threw me on the ground. They broke my coccyx, kicked me in the back. And the strangest thing, and the thing that I remember the most is not the blows, and it was not the sort of like the internal sexual assault. It was this really, really big man who was pulling at my hair like a child, like a boy would in a playground, doing it to a girl that he didn't really understand. It was it was really infantile and puerile.
Juliet, I apologise for being intrusive here, but when you say that you were sexually assaulted, it's important this. What exactly did they do?
So they wrenched my trousers and my underwear down, and it felt like that it was inserted with a hand. It wasn't a gun. I found out later that other people had guns inserted inside them. I don't think that it was a penis, but there was so much going on. But I was vaginally raped by one of the male soldiers. As I was, you basically, your head's down. They're putting you in a stress position, so your head's down, and your sort of posterior is very sort of available to be, dealt with, and your hands are behind your back, and your ankles are shackled. So, it's while you're being sort of jostled, hit, sworn at in the dark. I mean, it's a really discombobulating, horrific experience. Then a door was opened, and I was thrown out into an open kind of area where I could see probably maybe about 60 people on the deck of that boat. And my daughter, Isla, who was 25, ran up to me. My mouth was bleeding. They'd punched me in the face. And I was just sort of surrounded by love. And I was just really, it was really nice to see that my daughter was all right. And we talked about, how much violence and